And we are live with another episode of Comic Talk. Happy New Year, 2025. First episode of Comic Talk for this year. It's January 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera. We are here to talk about all the comics that came out this week, whether they're DC, Marvel, or indie comics. We're here to talk about everything that came out literally 24 hours ago. I'm your host, Dimithri. I already mentioned that. And today, we got our lovely guest, Gil Baron, a.k.a. GJ Baron.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me again. I just saw you the other day.
Yeah, I've been, last show I had you was the What If Season 3.
Right? The weekend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, now you're doing 2 in a row.
Wow, dude. I'm so honored. When do I get to be official co-host?
How's your schedule looking?
You
are always busy, so I don't know. Like, you're a busy man.
Yeah, but never too busy to read all the comic books.
That's the thing about...
Dimithri hit me up yesterday, like, have you read anything? I said no, and between yesterday and today, I think I read 15 comic books.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing that people don't realize. For anyone out there who doesn't know, DC, Marvel, indie comics, all those comics, they're released every Wednesday, right? And so we go live on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. We go live at 5 p.m. Pacific time every Thursday. So we got like 24 hours to read everything that we can. That's the basic premise of the show for anyone who's just tuning in for 2025. So you can either watch us live or you listen to the podcast when we release it on any podcast platform you can find us at. Apple Podcasts,
wherever fine pods are cast,
Spotify, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's the undertaking that this show has. And we read as much as we can. Now, Gil, do you pay attention to like whether there's a 5 Wednesday month?
No.
Okay. Because I do.
Yeah.
It's a 5 Wednesday month, which means...
So we're going to get some annuals?
Sometimes. It depends, right? So, like, normally these comic publishers, they'll take their normal, 100% of what they're doing, and instead of splitting 100 by 4, they split it by 5, right? So you're getting slightly less per week.
Okay.
But normally they do like a holiday special on that 5th week, or they do an annual, or whatnot.
You used to do an event.
Yeah.
Those months there would be a 5th week event.
Yeah.
Like JL Ape, whatever.
They'll do that. Or like when the certain months, like the specific like Pride months or like Heritage months come around, then they throw out like a little
sure.
Collection of vignettes. But the point being is that it's a little bit less, but I feel like with the comics that we have this week, like they're all it's a pretty solid run of comics this week.
Yeah.
I feel like
I agree. Not a lot of filler.
Yeah.
I thought.
Sometimes you can see a dip though.
Look, we'll have a conversation about Daredevil later, but
did you read it?
Yeah, I read it.
Okay. Let's quickly go through at the top of this show. I mean, it's me and you. What was your list?
My best of?
No. Just everything that you read from this week.
I'm gonna go through the whole list right now. Yeah. I've read Two-Face, Shazam, Batman number 156, Absolute Superman 3, Spectacular Spider-Man, X-Force, X-Factor. I skipped Vampirella. Let's see. I skimmed through Savage Dragon, Saga, Cable, Love and Chrome, Poison Ivy, Justice League: The Atom Project, JSA. I skimmed through Creature Commandos, Birds of Prey, Batgirl. I read a lot of comics. What if Galactus transformed to the Hulk? Deadpool, Wolverine, Daredevil, The Avengers. Was there anything beyond that? I think that was it. I think that's it. That takes me to the end.
Okay, great. I mean, you read so many that, I guess you outpaced yourself, and I didn't prep all the images for it. So, we're doing this live, and so...
I read Poison Ivy, too. I didn't listen to Poison Ivy.
We roll with the punches. What did I read? I read X-Factor.
I was just going to ask.
Thank you. I read X Factor 6, Absolute Superman 3, Batgirl 3, Batman 156, JSA 3, The Atom Project 1, Ultimates 8, Miles Morales Spider-Man 28, Avengers 22, Birds of Prey 17, Shazam 19, Deadpool Wolverine 1, Sam Wilson Captain America 1, and that was pretty much it for me.
I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Everything except for Vampirella.
Are you a big Vampirella fan?
No.
I don't know her shtick. Is she just a
But
woman who's a vampire?
my understanding, Christopher Priest is writing Vampirella now and has been for a while. And apparently his whole mission statement has been to take her beyond a pinup queen and make it an actual book that's worthy to read.
Okay.
And Priest is a great writer, right? Like I don't know if you read Superman Lost last year, but that was a fantastic story. So in theory, you could go back to Vampirella, to wherever Christopher Priest started with her, and maybe there'd be something really good in there. I don't know. Look, Vampirella has just always been. I've never really sat down with a Vampirella book. It's always seemed, just shy of softcore pornography to me.
Yeah.
Right. So it just there wasn't anything in there for me except get a poster from Wizard magazine every once in a while and be like, well, that's pretty hot, but
Wizard magazine was also interesting for any young heads out there. Reading comics is different now than it used to be. Weirdly enough, it used to be like comic reading used to be more, a little bit less mainstream, but at the same time there was still a whole magazine, a monthly magazine called Wizard Magazine that was dedicated to all things comic books, which meant movies, TV shows. They did little interviews. They did Twisted Toy Fair magazine. They did like funny things that were like before Robot Chicken. They did Twisted Toy Fair, which I think
Robot Chicken came from Toy Fair.
Did it officially?
The creator of Robot Chicken was the creator of those.
I didn't know that. Okay. So that makes sense, and then I'm not like upset by the stealing of the idea, but I mean, is it a copyrightable idea? I don't know, but
doing funny sketches using your action figures?
Yeah.
I don't think that's copyrightable.
No, I don't think so either. But the point being is that good for them. They transcended the pages of Wizard magazine and they got a Adult Swim show. But they're like, I don't know, reading comics back in the day, it was a different beast. I used to just kind of I didn't have much money as a kid, so I really just I bought Ultimate X-Men and Extreme X-Men and some Justice League.
But in a way, like Wizard magazine was great because it kind of gave you a heads up of where things were in comics at this moment, right?
Exactly.
Like you would pick it up and you'd be like, oh, I guess the Hulk is going insane this month, or the Punisher is a demon now, or whatever. You would know vaguely what's going on in comics the same way that you do now, looking at like Newsarama and CBR and those sites, right?
Yeah, and then I would hop on the message boards.
Yeah.
And were you a big message board person?
Yeah, there were Alvaro's. You remember Alvaro's message boards?
No.
That was pretty fun.
I just did superhero hype. I was very loyal to superhero hype.
Yeah, and I never got into the TV message boards that I know actually benefited some people's careers, like being on those message boards, because they got like writing jobs out of that. Oh. They got like journalism and criticism jobs out of that.
I mean, that's cool. Cool for them. Yeah. I didn't, but
good for them.
Actually,
all I was doing was talking to people about Devin Grayson's Teen Titans. That was what I was doing. I was like, oh, David S. Goyer, the guy who's writing comics, is now going to write the Batman movie. Whoa, how exciting. That's where I was at.
Didn't Goyer also co-write Lost?
I don't know. I'm sure he did.
Was that? Oh, no, maybe it was somebody else, but
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's kind of in that circle.
Because I remember Wizard Magazine used to report on all that stuff all the time, right? Damon Lindelof is who I'm thinking of. Damon Lindelof. But Wizard Magazine would always talk about when a writer of a TV show wrote a comic so that they could tie it all in.
Very excited about it.
Like when Alan Heinberg writer of the OC wrote Wonder Woman, and they were on it. They were loving it. Joss Whedon wrote Astonishing X-Men, that sort of thing. Wizard Magazine was on that. R.I.P. Wizard Magazine. If only they transitioned to a better website, they could have had the website still around. But
that's true. But look, not all the websites even survived. I mean, my favorite comic book website was Comics Alliance, because they were so good at like the journalism part of it,
yeah,
and really like directing mainstream comics readers towards indie books and indie artists. So they really showcased a lot of interesting stuff. So I miss Comics Alliance also.
So here's our challenge for this episode. We have less time and more comics, and it's the two of us, and we talk a lot. So we're gonna set a challenge to ourselves in 50 minutes to go through everything that we have read, which is the premise of the show. And normally we have 3 people all together, but also Gil and I talk a lot, and so my goal for this year is. I don't know. I haven't figured out my goals for this year, but maybe I'll figure it out by the time we finish this.
It's just to pace it up and get to all the stuff. Yeah.
All right. So, what is your pick of the week? Having read a bajillion comics this week.
I really think my pick of the week, now that I've been thinking about it more, was probably Batgirl. What did I tell you? I told you Batgirl, I told you X Factor, I told you Absolute Superman. Yeah. And I think those are definitely the 3 best. For me, I think that the mother-daughter stuff in Batgirl has been so interesting and so heartfelt, and I miss this version of Cassandra Cain that we're getting in this book, because it's much more kind of back to basics, where she's like doesn't talk much and really reads people's body language, and that's kind of like a very inherent like trait of hers, that she's like watching people's body language and like, what do they mean when they do this? Are they lying? In kind of a Daredevil sort of way. And I just thought it was utilized so well. I thought the twist was good. I'm invested in the plot. I think it's a good book, and I love that paired with Birds of Prey, we just get a double dose of Cassandra Cain every month. And Birds of Prey is fantastic. It didn't crack my top 3 this month, but there's always something there that's really good and interesting. And I think it brought me back to Cassandra Cain as a fan. I love that it put her back in the spotlight to the point where they decided to put out this miniseries. So, I think Batgirl for me. How did you feel about it?
I loved Batgirl number 3. Like, was it my absolute favorite? I mean, I chose not to pick it because I knew you were picking it. So,
I mean, did you feel like on a technical level that it was the best done comic of the month?
Of the week?
Like in terms of, of the week, that it was like the best written, the best drawn, the best.
Yeah. I have no flaws in it. I loved it. I loved it. But I mean, there's other books that were good this week that I loved as well.
Yeah.
But like Batgirl, I love Cassandra Cain. So again, I think it comes down to like, how old was I when I started like really getting into comics? And my first introduction to Batgirl, Cassandra Cain Batgirl, was a 2-pronged approach. One was the novelization of No Man's Land, which I read freshman year of high school. And then the second was I have the DK Batman Encyclopedia, the big picture one. And I got them for all the superheroes that I liked. So I have a Batman, Superman one, X-Men, Spider-Man, and Justice League. And like, it was really cool back in the day where I couldn't afford all those comics to read, but I wanted to read as much as I could. And Wikipedia really wasn't a thing back then. So I'm like, how do I learn about all these characters without at this point in time, how can I do it? So
when I was getting into comics, and I've told you this story before, that like when I was a kid, Costco used to have like packs of comics. I told you this.
Maybe, yeah.
So there were $10. I think it was like last month's books or the month before or something, and I would beg my mom to get them when we would go to Costco. So I would get stuff like West Coast Avengers or JLI or all of these sort of off the beaten path books. But the way I discovered new characters, there was like a Who's Who that came out in 93 or 94 or something. that DC put out, and I was like, oh, now I know who Booster Gold is. Now I know who King Faraday is, and Human Target, and all these random DCs.
Yeah. I mean, I used to go on certain websites that like would, I mean, before Wikipedia, it would be like biographies of characters, but sometimes those biographies were wrong.
Yeah.
Weirdly,
But I remember, like, as I was getting into comics,
Yeah.
so post Superman, Infinity War was going on, and those covers for Infinity War were so amazing because it was a bunch of heroes and their evil counterparts. They ended up having nothing to do with the story, really. But I don't know if you read it, but those were the covers. We're like, oh, you'd see Speedball and evil Speedball, and I was like, I don't know who Speedball is, but now I gotta know.
Yeah.
I gotta know who Night Thrasher is and the other New Warriors characters.
I never got into New Warriors.
And you know what? It's Fabian Nicieza, so I think it's actually worth a shot.
Okay.
I think there might be something there, you know.
I'm gonna okay, for the sake of this, I'm gonna stick to what the animated version of me picked. You know, on the graphic, there's a little cartoon version of me, and he picked the Ultimates number 8. So for the sake of this, I'm gonna talk about that. You didn't read this one, right?
No, Ultimates really hasn't caught me. It's felt like it's the one book that's like it's continuing the story of whatever Hickman is doing with the Ultimate Universe, like whatever's coming next with what's the guy's name, the Maker, and all of that Reed Richards stuff. The only Ultimate book from this line that has really hooked me and made me, you know, that has felt like it had a forward momentum to me has been Spider-Man.
I mean,
so Spider-Man is must read for me every month, and the Ultimates, like I check in with it, I skim it, you know, it doesn't seem that interesting to me.
So I'm gonna agree with you, and this is something not only did I talk about in previous episodes, but I also did a little video on it for like TikTok. I did a clip of the show when I talked about it, but basically, the 4 Ultimate titles have generally gotten better over time. Ultimate Black Panther has dipped a little bit, but the Ultimates started off bad, in my opinion. I was just not interested in it, but I kept with it, and like by like issue 4 or 5, I'm like, oh, I like the tales they're telling right now. So the Ultimates 8, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna have to go back and reread this one because it was a lot of timey-wimey mumbo-jumbo, right?
Okay.
And to the point where people online are getting mixed up also, but they're mixed up. But it's the Ultimate Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
But they're from the future, and essentially they were saying that they were they had like an arc of people, and they were time traveling to a better time so that Earth's population can survive.
I mean, I'm looking at the cover. I see Cosmo there.
Yeah.
Who I think is Cosmo.
Yeah, they call him Cosmo, but I don't know if he's actually Cosmo or just another psychic dog.
I see kind of a Nebula / Yondu kind of character in a Captain Marvel outfit.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe
the art is really good, and it's fun to think about, but a lot of it is exposition. So it is good, and I'm not a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, the original team of Guardians of the Galaxy with Yondu and, you know, the butterfly guy, Sylvester Stallone and all those. Like, I'm not a big fan of that team, but in this one, I don't know. I liked it a lot. Also, yeah, so basically all the Guardians are lost in time because the Maker had redone this universe, and they kind of hit that wall while traveling and like literally killed most of the universe's population that was on the arc to begin with, coming backwards in time. So the survivors got scattered, and you find out in this that America Chavez used to be one of those Guardians, and that's how the Ultimates had found her a couple issues ago. But she has no memory, and so she used to have a relationship with this Captain Marvel, but she can't remember, and so it was a very flashy sort of issue.
I'll read it.
It was cool.
The artwork is gorgeous. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Again, I would start back. Like, I think the Ultimates started telling more interesting stories around like issue 4 or 5, but
Okay.
they have an origin for Ultimate She-Hulk, which is essentially because the premise is that like the mate like all these like good superheroes that we remember from Marvel, Marvel 616 universe, a lot of them are in a very Illuminati sort of running the world behind the scenes. And so they were testing, just like in this world, testing gamma radiation on Polynesian islands. And so the Ultimates end up going to one of those islands and they see the most sort of grotesque manifestations of gamma radiation, right? They're not all the Hulk. Like one's just a floating brain with like spinal cord, right? But he's alive, but he's in agony. There's like different things. But one of them, the only one that's sort of positive is Ultimate She-Hulk. And so she's Polynesian. She is super strong. And
Yeah,
it
no, I
goes.
saw some.
What's that?
I saw some of this in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and her thing is like she's there to protect her people, but like she's like call me when like the fight actually matters. And so like I don't know, it's been cool. The Hulk has like a bunch of iron fists or immortal weapons really working for him, and he's running like one section of the world. So like there's all these things going on. I recommend jumping back on. Ultimate Spider-Man's really good. Ultimate X-Men has gotten better. Ultimates has gotten better. Ultimate Black Panther started off to me like an 8 or a 9 and is now like a 7 or an 8. It dropped 1 point, I would say.
Okay.
You know.
I've been skimming all those books. I don't know.
Okay.
They haven't really justified themselves to me, especially X-Men and Black Panther. I
X-Men's
don't know
weird.
why.
As
It's
an
just,
X-Men fan,
right. It's right. It's just you have to turn your brain off and be like, it's a completely different thing. It's a complete reimagining.
Yeah.
If you're gonna enjoy it, you gotta enjoy it for what it is, not what it's not, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Some people, me included, were thinking the new Ultimate Marvel universe was a what if, like it was a timeline that had a branching off point. It's a whole different universe that is similar and then changed on top of it.
Right, but it's sort of the old Ultimate Universe. It's a what if from that universe.
It's not related.
Oh, I thought the universe was most similar to that universe. And
not the I mean maybe it's the most similar.
I'm okay not worrying about it.
Yeah. Maybe it's the most similar to that universe, but at the same time, there's so many different, like just the way they're treating mutants. It's different. So I don't know. It's weird. There's more magic involved with the mutants in Ultimate X-Men. So anyway, Ultimate's number 8. But let's go to what I also really liked more so is Absolute Superman number 3.
So good.
I loved it.
I love all the changes that they do with Superman. Yeah, the conversation I've been having with like comics professionals is that the idea of the absolute universe is the heroes you know minus the privilege. It's specifically attacking whatever their privilege is. So it's made Superman really working class. I loved all the social commentary around Krypton. The upper class of Krypton are like creating ships to leave all the poor people behind. It's so short-sighted because like what do they think is going to happen when they get to a new planet and there's no one to build anything for them, and
it's too poignant.
Yes.
Is it too poignant? Is it too poignant to be off-putting? I'm not off.
No, it's so important. It's so important that science fiction do this stuff with social commentary, right?
Yeah.
This is the Twilight Zone. Like you have to do it. You have to keep telling these stories over and over again about what the social order is and what it means to be a responsible person and keep redefining what a hero is. Because what Clark does or what Cal does on Krypton is incredibly heroic because he's going up against the entire planet, and it shows how close he would have been with his parents had they survived. and I'm not sure I really understand the very last page. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's okay to spoil or not, um, but just the moment where they're like, no, we're all going to, or we're all escaping Krypton. So I'm very interested to see what happens in 4. Like, do Jor-El and Lara end up escaping Krypton? Are they on Earth too? Who is the N. Kent that's in the hospital that we saw? Um, so
I there's so much that happened in this issue, like a lot. Like just a lot happens in this issue. I've been loving all the Absolute books. The
yeah,
way
Wonder Woman is so good. Wonder Woman's one of my favorite books right now. I hope that she
mm,
can come on the regular Wonder Woman book when she's done with this Absolute.
is it is it G Willow? Was it? No, is it
No.
who is it?
Oh, in my
It's
head, I'm saying Becky Cloonan, but I don't know if it is.
it's no, it's Kelly Thompson.
It's Kelly Thompson,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Who was doing the really good run on Captain Marvel a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
I'm
love Kelly Thompson. I hope after Tom King is done with Wonder Woman, she can take the reins. She really has very, specific ideas about what it means to be like radically empathetic, radically kind, and the Wonder Woman in that is just so uh, take charge, but kind and smart, and just everything you want from a good Wonder. And they just introduced Cheetah last week, and it was so good. And just the monster that they have her fighting, I guess it's on issue 3, but the monster they have her fighting is so overwhelming. Like, you don't see a lot of stuff at that scale in comics, even though comics can like exist at like a planetary galactic scale. You rarely see like a creature on Earth whose head is all the way up in the clouds. The colorist has to blue shift it because it's so gigantic.
it is like a Cthulhu elder god sort of thing where they're so massive and their power is so overwhelming that you would go insane trying to comprehend it.
Yes, exactly. And it's the scale is beyond kaiju, is
Yeah,
what's interesting about it.
yeah.
It's whatever the degrees beyond a kaiju would look at it and be like, that motherfucker's huge. That's a
Yeah,
big bitch.
a kaiju would be like upsies, you
Yeah.
know.
For sure.
Yeah. Absolute Superman. I don't know. I mean, it can go any different way, but I'm loving because I've been trying to like narratively and philosophically break down the absolute DC universe, and it is the general thing is that like the regular DC universe is built on the fundamentals that like Superman is inherent to the universe's fabric, right? And so this
Well,
universe, Darkseid is inherent to the fabric, but instead,
right.
like the only way Darkseid can win in the absolute universe is if these heroes were never created in the first place. But because the heroes um 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 um
Yeah, I
are going to
mean,
happen, there's a struggle, but there's an inherent hope. There's always hope, even in a
always.
universe by Darkseid.
I mean, I'm really interested to see like what the dark side plan is, because it's Darkseid's essence is kind of like baked into the universe, and
Yeah,
it seems like the Legion of Superheroes might be evil in this universe or something like that,
I
or
think
they
that's
may.
I think that's the Prime universe where Booster Gold goes into the future, right? I think that's the Prime.
No, I thought he went into the Absolute Universe. I thought
Oh,
that's what happened.
I don't know. I'll have to check out DC All In Special, everybody.
Yeah, you might have to take
Um,
a look at that.
take
I thought
another
that
look
was
at
the Absolute Universe, but yeah, but like I said, my understanding is that it's about taking characters of privilege and stripping away what makes them privileged. So the idea being like, and these are the 3 characters that are from the Golden Age, right? And they were created during World War II, so they do have a very specific thing about them, right? Like Batman is the fantasy that a wealthy person will use their wealth to protect the innocent, right?
right.
So now you take away his wealth. Now he's not a generational wealth. He's a guy from the poor side of Gotham, and he's just a mechanic, and he's really huge, and he's just getting by on his wits, and he doesn't have $1 billion to spend, right?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is a princess who is related to the Greek gods. Well, let's take away her royalty. Let's take away her connection to gods. Now she was raised in hell by a character who is one of her worst enemies. Spoiler alert. So,
Yeah.
like, how does that change both of them going forward? And it really has. Like, it's super changed. Like everything about Cersei. Spoiler alert that it's Cersei who's raising her.
Yeah.
But like, it's so incredible to see like the Wonder Woman essence that survives through being raised in hell as opposed to on Paradise. And then you have Clark, who was Kal-El, who was raised in the most white bread, safe environment, raised by the kindest people on earth,
Right.
raised to respect humanity, and and it also like he lives as a white man with a white collar job in a major metropolitan city, and it gets him everywhere, right? So now you take away the access. He doesn't have access. This guy doesn't know Lex Luthor. This guy is never going to be let into Lex Luthor's office to get an interview from him. This is a guy who works in a mine in Kansas or whatever, and he's really gotten his hands dirty.
All around the world, I think. I don't know whether he works in the mine per se, but yeah.
Oh, I thought on Earth he was working in a mine.
Well, in the first issue, he's in Brazil, and
Oh,
he
right.
he does he makes the coal into diamonds or whatever he does. In the first issue.
But it takes away the metaphor of the immigrant.
Yeah.
Because the metaphor was he was an immigrant who came here as a baby, but he passes because he grows up to look like a corn-fed Kansas boy, white guy that has access everywhere. This Superman didn't come to Earth until he was either a teenager or maybe in his early 20s. And, now he's an immigrant who doesn't necessarily speak the language, and doesn't have the access and doesn't get our ways yet. So there's going to be a bigger gap.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to talk about this other than people are now simping over Lara. Lara Jor-El? Lara no, Lara.
Simping? Yeah, Lara Jor-El.
Does she take her husband's?
Yeah, well, Kara is Kara Zor-El, right? And her father is
But
Zor-El.
that's the daughter, but that's not married, so
Okay.
I don't know how it works. But yeah.
I just don't care.
Yeah. But either way,
It's
Lara is super hot with the big gun and kicking ass. So
she's the scientist, she's the builder, she's the Iron Man in this world. She's doing a lot. And I love that young Cal is like showing how being a journalist really is inherent to Superman as a character.
Yeah.
I've never liked, the idea that Superman takes on journalism as a disguise so he can always be Superman. Like, I like the idea that, like, well, he would have been a journalist no matter what.
That's truth and justice, right? Like truth and justice through that work,
That's right.
I mean, I don't want to venture too far into some sort of theories because I know. But anyway, basically, my thing about DC Comics, and as a huge fan of DC Comics, right, is that these characters have been around for so long that through reinvention, they've sort of picked up perfection in all their qualities, right? Like,
sure.
Everybody is a genius level intellect, which that's my biggest thing. They shouldn't be. Like, Barry Allen shouldn't be a genius in engineering. He's not an engineering guy.
Yeah, I don't think that he is.
He's constantly building stuff, and it's like, okay.
I guess he built the cosmic treadmill or something,
like,
right?
Hal Jordan shouldn't be super smart, and sometimes they play him down, and sometimes they play him up, and it's like, okay, fine. It's everybody is genius level that, like, nobody, like, everybody is the center of their universe in DC, which works and doesn't work sometimes, right? In the absolute books, they're like, no, Batman, he's not the best at everything. Absolute Batman's not the best at everything, but he is really damn good at engineering and like
he's ruthless.
And he's ruthless, and he fights, and he loves, and that's
cuts
what we
his
need.
arm off with an axe.
Yeah, it's kind of like Christian Bale's Batman also was not the best at everything, and I hated it because he wasn't smart. he just wasn't smart. That wasn't his attribute. They had to pare down Batman to something, and they made him a rich ninja. That's what he was in those movies. He was a rich ninja. Lucius Fox builds everything else, and he's a rich ninja.
I mean, they had just the one scene of him like extrapolating
the bullet fragments. Yeah, I mean
that's the
cool.
most effective work he does.
Yeah. Anyway, point being is, I'm loving the absolute DC universe for the sake of like clear, consistent stories with a point that are both flash and substance. No pun intended.
How'd you feel about Two-Face?
I didn't read it. Is it good?
I like it.
Okay. Worth talking about for a while. Oh, I didn't.
I mean, if you haven't read it, I mean, so what they're doing is there's like a criminal underworld court that like handles stuff between criminals, and Two-Face is finding purpose as a lawyer in this underworld criminal justice system.
Interesting. I might pick it up.
Yeah. So it's an interesting concept, and it's definitely a lot of like conflict between Harvey and Two-Face. There's a lot of internal conflict going on there.
Okay. I want to switch over to some Marvel number ones, because I don't know. Did you read Sam Wilson Captain America #1?
Not yet. I still have last week's Captain America to read. I've really been loving the J. Michael Straczynski run, and I know that's ending soon, but it's been really special. I think that it's going to go down as one of the classic runs, even though it's not that long. It just has a really, what I actually would compare it to is James Robinson's Starman.
Okay.
It has a little bit of like magic vibe, kind of like a cabaret vibe to it.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like it's just very beautiful in its magic, and a very, it's a very small town Captain America. It's a Captain America who like lives in the apartment he works in, Yeah. It's not a lot of spy adventures, but there is some like, hell and devil stuff. So it's a certain kind of, it's Captain America mixed with magic, which I think actually is working. Okay. So I haven't read the new Sam Wilson yet. From the cover, I imagine it's gonna tie in a lot to the new movie.
Kind of in a very loose way, right? Basically their job is to introduce characters, but they don't have the same storylines. It's just That being said, this Red Hulk on the cover is not General Ross.
All right,
it's the other Red Hulk. Because I don't know if you knew there were two Red Hulks.
I did not actually.
There's two. But hey,
no, there's a female Red Hulk.
Red She-Hulk, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is fun. I'm like just skimming through it, and I'm seeing that they have a cookout with a bunch of Black Marvel superheroes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And the cookout hinges on Isaiah Bradley's birthday.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited to read this.
Yeah. And Steve's the only white guy at the cookout.
He's invited to the cookout.
Yeah.
All right.
So it was a little formulaic towards the end, but I think they're setting you up with obvious stuff in the first issue so that they can kind of twist things as it goes along.
And it's Greg Pak. It is Greg Pak. It's Greg Pak and Evan Narcisse, and the artists are Eater Messias and Valentine Delandro. I mean, it's a good pedigree.
Yeah.
I'm on board. You've sold me.
Yeah. Deadpool Wolverine #1. Did you like it?
I liked it better than I thought I would.
Same here.
I usually skim a Deadpool book because it's usually a bunch of nonsense.
I like the current run. I like the current run, and I like the last run of Deadpool.
With the woman, the trans woman with the needles for her fingers. Yeah, I thought that was really good. But this last Cody Ziegler run, I was just like, all right, this is just nonsense. And I don't really like the big dog, but whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I thought I don't know that we've seen a lot of mind-controlled Deadpool in the past, but it was like, all right, imagine Deadpool without the funny. Like, let's make him a real cold-blooded ass killer. And I thought that was a really interesting way to bring Wolverine into it. He's like, you would think that this would be the Deadpool that Wolverine likes, but he is also obviously like, oh, something is wrong here.
Yeah.
Let's figure something out here.
It is violent. It does have parental advisory on the cover for a reason.
You know what? My parents don't know. Is it gonna hurt? They don't even know.
I did like it a lot. Also, that cover art is it like a million resolution? Like, it is so crisp.
Is it really?
That, like, I've been downloading high res images lately to utilize on the show and for TikTok and stuff. And so, like, I feel like I've ascended to a higher plane with higher resolution comic covers.
You're at a higher resolution than the rest of us.
Yeah. I'm up here. I'm working on, those images. Anyway, point being is I did like this one a lot better than I thought. Yeah, you summed it up.
Yeah, it's hard to know where the lighting is coming from on it. I think that's what you're seeing, is that like it's every detail is there. Like I'm looking at Wade Wilson's molars right now,
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at every dang tooth. So this is a lot of detail in this cover.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I don't know where the lighting is coming from. Maybe from us. Maybe the lighting is coming from the front.
We are the light,
I guess we're the light. There was cool stuff in this.
Did you read Miles Morales Spider-Man number 28?
No, I haven't gotten a chance to yet.
I was surprised. This one was almost my number one pick.
I have been enjoying. So to be fair, I just took down Cody Ziegler for a second, but I do like him on Miles Morales.
Okay.
Like, really has that voice down. Like Miles Morales always like uses slang that feels current and not corny.
Yeah.
Like Cody is so good at dialogue, especially Miles's dialogue. I wasn't, like I said, I just didn't give a shit about his Deadpool, but Miles Morales, he always knocks it out of the park, honestly.
Do you know Cody personally? Because he's around here.
Just from UCB stuff. He used to run, when I was producing the video stuff, he was like he was literally like the video equipment guy. Like I had to rent stuff from Cody to be like, oh, I promise we'll bring the lighting kit back.
Yeah.
Like it was that.
It's so cool. Like when, I don't know him personally, but I just know people who know him.
When someone in our circle ascends, becomes successful. Yeah, God bless. I mean, look, he's been doing so. He wrote on the She-Hulk series.
Yeah.
Has been doing so much. So, very proud of him.
Yeah. I'm hitting Marvel stuff because we went deep into DC. So I'm like, let's balance this out. Did you read Avengers 22?
What?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. How did I feel about Miles Morales Spider-Man 28? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I asked how you felt about X Factor, but
oh, okay. Well, sorry. Did you bring up Miles Morales?
Yes,
that
of course I did.
Obviously.
That's all I ever bring up. But I read Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man as a book. And that's always like one of the first ones I read because it's just so fun to see Miles and Peter like bounce off each other. Yeah. And they've created in that book its own little like supporting cast that's for the both of them. It's not related to either of their supporting casts.
Yeah.
So
I like it. I like Spectacular Spider-Man. I didn't read it this week, but I do like it.
Yeah, but you will. I love it. It's just so fun.
Miles Morales Spider-Man 28. I just want to say what the premise is and the twist because you're not going to read it, or at least you're not going to read it right now. But Miles Morales, the reason it was so good, basically, in the Blood Hunt crossover event, there are still ramifications, which is Miles Morales still is tampering down his vampirism. And Black Panther got rid of his vampirism by visiting Bast, the Panther god, and getting it stripped away. So, in order to help him, Black Panther is sort of his mentor for the past couple of issues. He's taking Miles to go meet Bast. And he's like, we're going to figure this out for you, right? But when he gets to the spiritual plane, Bast is like, how dare you bring him when he's already spoken for by another god?
By Anansi. Okay.
And so Anansi shows up. He's like, sorry, but to get rid of this, you're going to have to tell me a story.
You have to go on a quest. Tell me a story. Kind of,
right? But he's trying to weave the story as it happens. And I don't know. It's pretty cool. And the art is good. and I liked that twist because Bast is so arrogant, but so is T'Challa, and so it just and Miles is just innocent. Like Miles is like, I didn't know I was spoken for. Like I don't know how any of this works, and like T'Challa should know better. It was a little impulsive and brash for him to do that, but it was good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I think that all of the storylines that Cody's been coming up with have just all been real hits for me, and I like that the vampire stuff has stuck around and that it spurred a story to get rid of it. It reminds me obviously of like Jubilee being a vampire, and that was going on for way too long. But
yeah, I'm sure it'll get solved soon after this Anansi thing. Though I was hoping, because I'm not a big fan of I like his bioelectric shock, but I don't like his bioelectric shock becoming usable lightning. Like that there's a strict difference there, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that means the difference between Thor and Wasp.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same. And then takes it a step further. I hate energy constructs unless that's your power. So the idea of
is he doing that now?
Yeah, he was wielding his lightning as a sword.
As a sword, right?
And I was like, what is a hat on a hat on a hat? You know? So
I think the big strength of that book is the dialogue, honestly, and like the plots. I'm glad that the plots are ongoing, and I'm enjoying all the guest stars, and I really like the relationship with what's his face with Vulture's granddaughter,
Tiana. Yeah,
Tiana. I think that's a fun relationship. I like the drama that's going on between him and Kamala. Yeah, I think all of that stuff is good. But yeah, some things go a little bit.
Yeah, that's not Cody's thing. It was from previous, but the book I don't think it was Cody's thing. But I was hoping that he would have to pay the price, which is get rid of his lightning powers in order to get rid of the vampirism.
Oh, so he'd be more of a normal Spider character.
Well, he can have the shock, but he doesn't need to create a sword out of bioelectric lightning, you know? So
I'm wondering how you feel about Spider-Boy generally, and if you're feeling like it's a little redundant in a world where like Miles is such a popular character. And like, Miles, it's not like Miles is a kid, but he is still a teen. I don't know that he's in college yet, but
yeah. Kamala, it's weird because they're refusing to age Kamala up, which means they're refusing to age Miles up. Because as far as I know, they're the same grade. Like
they should be the same grade.
They literally show up to
they're either juniors or seniors at this point.
Because Kamala is taking in NYX. Kamala is taking classes at the college, but she's not in college.
Right.
But so Miles isn't there yet either, and they always show up to the same like Science Olympiad events and stuff like that. Which I think is just a cool thing in these comics. So,
I enjoy Spider-Boy a lot. I'm actually really enjoying this arc.
To answer, I like Spider-Boy. I do actually.
So do you feel like it's redundant, or you feel like it really like plays its own notes?
I think it's redundant how many side characters they've created through those variant covers. Because those, you remember those variant covers that came out and they were like, well, all these characters that didn't have sidekicks, what if they did have sidekicks? And they created like just for a cover.
Okay.
So that's where we got May Storm, who is an Ultimate X-Men. It's like, what if Storm had a sidekick? And it was that girl with the white hair. And then they did like, because it was like an homage to Spider-Boy who had just come out. They're like, well, Spider-Boy, what if Ghost Rider had a little, like a girl on roller skates that like was a spirit of vengeance.
Here's the thing with Spider-Man, is they keep every concept in Spider-Man, it's either a parallel or a mirror, right? So you create Venom, and suddenly you have to have anti-Venom. Then you have Spider-Man, so you have to have Spider-Woman, and then Spider-Girl, and then reverse Spider-Woman, and then Spider-Boy because there's a Spider-Girl. And what's so silly about it is, you go down and down this list where you eventually have like Aranya and Silk Spider and Spider-Gwen,
which is actually better and more original. I like those characters better than just continuing.
But it is it is that idea of just like, let's keep flipping the concept on its ear. Let's just keep flipping it, flipping. And I'm not saying that these characters are bad or the books are bad, but it's so funny how they keep doing it. And the end result ends up being Rec Rap, which I think Rec Rap is fun, but it is an insane thing. It is crazy.
Rec Rap is Bizarro and no, it's just Bizarro. It's Spider-Man Bizarro, right? Like,
yeah.
So, it is what it is. I think that the more solid you can make your core hero, the easier it is to create these like offshoots. But
sure,
if Peter is young, let's just say like MCU Peter, there's no reason for Miles to exist who is 1 year or 2 years younger than him. Like, it doesn't make sense. So Miles is created to be the kid that Peter used to be, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't work with two kids.
Well, I mean, look.
In the MCU, let's just say.
Tom Holland is 30 already.
Yes. And you have to firmly make him 25-year-old Spider-Man. Make him in college.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the next movie. Like, clearly they graduated high school last time.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that he'll be in college in the next movie, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be introducing Miles for another couple movies.
No. I'm just saying that, like, certain people don't work. So, like, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and Kamala hanging out. But Kamala's not going to
now, all those characters they wanted to be the Young Avengers, all of them are in their 20s now.
Yeah.
None of them are teenagers.
Yeah.
It's so funny to be like, oh, we're going to do the Young Avengers. But, like, all right.
I hope they do a Champions. I hope they call themselves Champions. Then they don't have to age themselves.
That's true. I mean, that's always the problem with Teen Titans. Or, God forbid, the New Mutants.
Because are they new anymore?
That was just, it just doesn't make sense as a team name.
It doesn't.
As a book name, fine, but I was so happy. Look, I'm a big Generation X kid. I grew up during that stuff, and just like what a much better name that is. Even though like that's kind of dated now, I think you could still name a book Generation X and people get it. Okay, it's the next generation of X-Men. Like it doesn't have to be specifically tied to people born between 1970 and 1980 or whatever.
Right. I could talk about this forever, going down these rabbit holes. Let's bang the rest of these out. Did we talk about X Factor 6?
We didn't. I like X Factor. I love this writer. Why am I losing his name? But Mark Russell. Love Mark Russell as a writer. Love all the social commentary. All the drama happening. It is so good. And there's a lot of Krakoa aftermath happening there, and really just like Havoc and Polaris as an ongoing and like we finally have a reason for them not to be together, and it really is their philosophy. It's like Havoc is an assimilationist and Polaris is a nationalist. And look, we've talked about this before, we've hinted at it before, but this is a conversation going on in the Jewish community a lot, especially right now. Right? There are people who really believe, like, they look at stuff going on with Israel and they're like, why do we even need an Israel? And then there are people like me that are like, you don't understand where we'd be right now without Israel, and that's why I think the Krakoa metaphor, and it just is so universal. I think every marginalized group sees themselves in it. So for me, seeing this argument between Lorna and Alex, like it hits so close to home of like the person that has their kind of nationalistic pride in their diversity and the person who's like, why can't you just think of us as white,
Yeah. Alex has taken a shift since I think Uncanny Avengers, where they really were like, yeah, he's like, we don't use the M word.
Right.
And it was like, oh, all right, fine. I like X Factor 6. I'm also a big Lorna Dane fan. I don't know if I told you.
Big Lorna fan.
I don't know if I told you, but like, if I was living in that universe, she'd be my type. You
love a green-haired girl.
You
love someone who gets mind controlled all the time. You're a big fan. You love someone with daddy issues.
No, that's not why.
She's wearing her dad's costume right now.
Yeah, that's fine. I just like her. I just like her.
Like,
Moving on. Moving
she's
on.
like, I need the collar with the bubbles. That's what I need. She looks like she just walked out of Age of Apocalypse with that.
I also liked her in The Gifted. I'm just saying that.
Okay.
I really liked her in The Gifted. I think The Gifted was underrated. I think that
I helped
it had
cast that show. I was in the Fox casting department that year.
you helped cast that show?
Yeah. I was working for
You cast her as Polaris?
I made a spreadsheet that had her face on it.
It's a good face.
I was a casting assistant that year at Fox.
It's a good face.
It was that show and The Resident. Those were like our big shows.
Okay. Batman 156. Let's bang these out. Batman 156.
Bang 'em. I liked it. I enjoyed what's going on with the Riddler. I kind of wanted I wanted the Elon Musk thing to be Riddler's new status quo, but we got a nice, really classic Riddler story out of it. I'm loving Commissioner Gordon as the suspect in it. Harvey Bullock is a fucking hero. Yeah, no, it's a great book.
Yeah, I like the riddles in this. I like Commissioner Gordon using the utility belt because he was Batman for a very short amount of time, right?
It's true.
You know, so cool. You know, do you have a gun? No, but I have a utility belt. Cool. All right. And then who is Commander Starr? You know?
Yeah, what a great reveal. I did not see it coming. And who can we spoil? Is it okay to spoil?
Yeah.
I never thought I would give a shit that KGB shows up.
But it's a Russia plot. Like, that's what's
Russian plot. Yeah, which again is very relevant to our real lives.
Which is so weird because you would think that's outdated. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you'd be like, what? Stop. Like, this isn't Rocky. Like, why would we have a Russian plot? And then, oh, yeah, okay. So, I like to say, I think Chip Zdarsky's in full stride right now. So, good.
Always a fan.
Good. Saga 71.
I loved all the Zurinar stuff before. You know, I'd like to see. I want to see how he brings his run full circle. I don't want it to end anytime soon, but I want to see like where it all comes together.
Yeah. Saga 71 from Image Comics. Not too many indie comics out this week. Again, because indie comics are split across 5 weeks. And they just tend to have less output than Marvel and DC. Saga 71 came out.
You had Vampirella, you had Savage Dragon.
Yeah. There was a Rick and Morty New Year's special, I think. But
there was a Zenescope pinup special.
I mean, there are other comics, sure. And I'm not dissing indies. I'm just saying that.
But so Saga's great. I love where it's going. I was just someone at a New Year's party was telling me that someone recommended Saga to them, and they were like, you know, I'd like to read it. And I was telling them, you know, it's not a space epic. It's not Star Wars. It's a kitchen sink drama with the veneer of Star Wars. And that's how I was describing it to them. And here with the relationship between, I keep forgetting the little girl's name, her and Amisis, the spider girl. It's just such a beautiful relationship. Do you know what Amisis means?
No.
It means to throw up.
Huh. Okay.
I love the names that Brian K. Vaughan gives to characters. He's like, he literally named a character Throw Up, and in this book she throws up.
Okay. This is one of the books I have not read.
Oh no, I spoiled it.
No, everybody talks about Saga being amazing, and I don't deny that. I just don't know it. Like, I just never.
Oh, you haven't read it at all?
I think I've read the first couple issues, and then I stopped, and like, you know, at some point I'm gonna sit down and binge it. But it.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, I don't know that. I would binge it in spurts because I do think that you would get twist fatigue because every issue their whole world gets turned around, you know. But it is a soap opera. It's a kitchen sink drama. It feels the whole point of it is that in this Star Wars world, in this crazy ass world where there are bounty hunters and aliens and all of this stuff and warlords and kings and queens, you still have just a family trying to get by.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of it, is that it's about this family, and you know, its circumstances have made it so that they're being hunted, but in the end, like all you can do, no matter the craziness of the world, is get through today. And that's the point of the book.
Okay.
And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that every single issue kind of affirms that as a message.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot. I just have to at some point just start.
Read it in 5, 6 issue bursts.
Okay. Yeah,
Don't try
maybe
to
I
read it
might
all.
just buy the trades. Cause is it fair to say that I'm going to like it? So then I might as well just buy it to own it, but buy them in
Buy one
single.
at a time.
Yeah.
See if you like it.
Okay.
Small buy-in.
Okay.
If you find yourself not liking it, don't buy the next one.
Okay. We're gonna go through the rest with just like one sentences each, right?
That's true.
We're gonna JSA number 3.
I was, this one was boring to me. I wanted to like it. You know, sorry for going over one sentence. I wanted to like it. It's
No,
not super hitting me. I like Khalid as a character, but I don't know, the whole Infinity Inc. thing is a little boring to me.
yeah, I feel like this should be 2 series if they're gonna do it, and maybe they're planning
Yeah,
on doing 2 series. I don't know, but
I guess I could see that. Yeah.
just get the Infinity Inc. team separate than this. And like there's multiple stories and like 20 characters, including the 10 villains that are like teaming up. So
And I
it's
really liked the JSA miniseries they did last year, the Wesley Dodds one, the Jay Garrick one, and the Alan Scott one.
yeah,
I thought all three of those were really good, but now all three of those villains are here. And it's a little bit like we've just seen all three of these guys.
yeah, I'm with you. The Atom Project number 1, a little bit more boring than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be an interesting science thriller, and it's not.
Yeah. It was really hard to tell the difference between Ryan and
Yeah, yeah, because they're not even sticking to their like same
they're not in
color
their traditional
schemes.
costumes.
Yeah.
The way I'm thinking of it in my head is Ryan is in the armor costume and Ray is in the spandex costume right now.
Yeah. But also, like,
And
when they take off their masks, the artist should draw them different because
that's absolutely true. Yeah, I don't know. Are you reading Jenny Sparks?
no. I read the first
So
issue.
Jenny Sparks is another book where they're kind of assassinating the character of Captain Atom. Um,
It's
Not
Black
that I think it's
Label,
bad.
it's separate, right?
It's Black Label, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it does speak to this is what editorial kind of wants Black Adam to be. They
Or
want him to
the
be a little bit
Captain Atom.
Captain Atom. You're right. Sorry. They want him to be a little separate from humanity, a little bit troubled. They want him to be kind of the havoc of the DC universe.
I was
Kind
going to
of
say Dr. Manhattan.
well, they definitely are putting some Dr. Manhattan in there, but like the fact that he keeps kind of getting fucked up kind of feels very Alex Summers to me, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't like Captain Atom other than as a proxy for the government. I like if they're
and
like
you like it in jail, you like in the cartoon.
yes, because if anything, like I don't. Is there anyone out there who wants just a good old fashioned Captain Atom story where he is a hero and whatever? Like, is anyone gunning for that?
Maybe.
I just like the idea that like he is supremely powerful and he can be a government like a foil for the established government versus the
Right.
Justice League.
But
Like,
that's also what they do with Major Force a lot. Major Force, I don't
but
know if
he's
you
an
know, but
actual killer. At least Captain Atom,
yeah, but Major Force does work for the government
yeah,
often.
as like a dog on a leash. Like it is like at least Captain Atom is a quote unquote hero. You know?
Right. So I think Jenny Sparks is really interesting in that way because
Okay.
that's very much Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
That is a Dr. Manhattan book. Here it's a little more like Alex Summers. Like I'm just trying to get away from it, and now Ray is sort of the government,
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure I love that as a characterization for Ray Palmer, but I'm willing to see where it goes.
Yeah. Avengers 22.
I liked it. It was fun. We're doing a heist.
I
That's
liked
great.
it a lot.
Yeah. The cover was misleading because it was like, oh, Black Cat joins the Avengers, but like maybe the storyline ends with her actually being an Avenger. But I really liked, all of there were these heist tropes that were in there that I was like, oh, they're kind of hanging a lantern on it, but then they just did it. So it was a little less clever than I wanted it to be, but at the same time, it was fun.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it is a rehash of a plot we saw during the Krakoa X-Men when they went to Cordyceps Jones,
Yeah.
his Casino, right? Like it wasn't that different from that,
I miss.
especially the
I'm
Storm.
about to cry how much I miss that era.
Oh, honey.
I like we can't go back. I get it, but like that era of X-Men, the Krakoan era. Oh, and the art. Oof. And like I don't know. Anyway, Birds of Prey
I can't wait
17.
to pick up the Hickman omnibuses. That's what I'm waiting for.
Um, I've been trying to collect them all in trades, so I don't know whether I want the big.
It's so much. It's so much.
Birds of Prey 17. We got to get through this. We got a couple more.
I love Birds of Prey generally. This is the end of a particular storyline, so let's see what happens next.
Yeah.
Always love Big Barda. You know what did stick out to me and I bumped on was everyone calling Barda a new god. I didn't realize that was an in-universe name people call people from Apocalypse and New Genesis. It didn't seem like that's something in-universe people would call her. But
kind of like New Mutants.
Yeah, like it's a weird thing. Yeah, it's a weird thing for people in universe to say, but I really liked Barda and everything between Barda and Cassie or Cassandra. I think that's such a great relationship, and I loved the twist with Sin coming in.
Yeah.
So yeah, just interested to see where it goes. I can't wait for the next arc. They're just doing such a great job.
DC's doing a great thing right now, which is everything's sort of connected, which is great as long as they can keep it up and don't outpace themselves and trip over their own feet. But all these characters are in other titles as well, and I'm loving it.
Well, the Black Canary book is also a Black Label.
Yeah,
that's not in common.
Right.
But between Birds of Prey and Batgirl, like Lady Shiva's having a moment now, which is great. Because like reading Black Canary made Lady Shiva in Batgirl seem more dangerous.
Yeah. But like New Gods has a book, right?
That's a good book. Did you read that? Oh man, I really liked it.
Yeah.
And right now I'm doing my first ever read through the Jack Kirby New God stuff.
Oh, I can't do that.
Book clubbing it with some guys.
That's the vibe. I cannot do that vibe. I love adaptations of the New Gods.
We're book clubbing it, so it's small bites, 6 issues at a time.
I can't get through a panel of old timey dialogue. Like there's the cosmic dialogue of like the Eternals and New Gods and even old Thor that I cannot stand.
Can I show you the voice that I'm using when I read it? This is gonna help you because you read New Gods and it's all of this crazy.
I'm gonna say we got 3 minutes left for this podcast, so
Spawn is the name given to the point of the saga of the great Celestials. The Spawn is alive and huge and throws its giant shadow across the seas of Earth, but its tale can't be told outside of the context of the larger tapestry, the universe, which Metron roams in his miraculous Mobius chair. So
I'm not saying it's bad. It is flowery.
You have to love it for what it is. That's my philosophy generally.
I mean, it definitely needed to happen. All right, moving on. Shazam number 19. Did you read it?
Loved it. I love Mr. Mind.
I love the twist.
It was a good twist. I liked
the couple of twists. There's a couple of twists.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a lot, and everything with Freddy. I thought it was great. Yeah. No, I like this book.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Freddy is powered by.
Well, they changed it. That's what this was.
Yeah.
Because it used to be that he was just powered by the same gods.
Yeah. Well, no. Originally, Captain Marvel Jr. is powered by different gods.
Oh.
I think. Okay. I could be wrong. Because Mary Marvel was powered by different gods. And Black Adam is powered by different gods, but they all spell Shazam. But I forget what. Anyway, now is he powered by gods with disabilities?
Is that what the connection was?
I think so. Because a lot of them lack an eye, and Hephaestus is also Hephaestus was born. I forget what, but like I think he has a limp. He has a hunchback sometimes.
Well, the commander now has a leg brace.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. So it's about owning it.
My understanding when the Jeff Johns reboot happened, however many years ago, was that all the Marvel all the Fawcett characters, all the Marvel family, were all powered by Shazam, and so that Shazam was splitting his power between the 7 kids.
Yeah, but now, I mean, that did happen, but then now she's powered by goddesses through Lazarus Planet God something or another, whatever that tie-in was.
All right.
So she's powered, like Mary Marvel is powered by them. Anyway.
All right, we gotta move on.
Yeah. And then last but not least, I mean, I guess a couple more. I need 5 words. X-Force number 7.
I'm on board. I was surprised to see Colossus at the end because I thought Tank was Colossus this whole time, which I love. It's like one of those secrets that can only be a secret in comics where you don't hear them. Because if it was a TV show and we were hearing his voice, you'd be like, well, he has a Russian accent.
Yeah.
But seeing Colossus at the end, like, okay, something's going on here. Maybe Tank's not Colossus, but maybe he is. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe that's an alternate universe Colossus. I'm just very interested.
I would love, and this is a wild pick, I would love for them to bring Morph back and have Morph pretending just to be a super strength brute like Tank to cover up his other powers. Kind of like a Martian Manhunter twist, where but it's like it's Morph, and they bring Morph back into 616 continuity.
And also, I loved the extended sequence with Rachel and Betsy. I thought that was great. I liked.
All right, we gotta move on. Okay. Sorry. Cable, is Cable Love and Chrome good or not good?
Yeah. It was also like Wolverine and Deadpool better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I liked seeing a female analog to Cable, and I want to see where this goes.
What's her name? Satellite.
Yeah, right.
Poison Ivy 29.
Look, G. Willow Wilson is a great writer. I do think Poison Ivy's been kind of spinning its wheels since the first big arc ended, but this issue was interesting.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'm here for the ride. I think that G. Willow Wilson has a great take on Poison Ivy, and I thought it was supposed to be a miniseries, but it did so well they decided to make it ongoing, and I think it deserves it.
Okay. All right. And then last but not least, Daredevil 17.
That was dumb. I'm really not enjoying the Saladin Ahmed run. It's a little too devil in hell stuff for me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to wrap my mind around how the universe has changed. That like Matt Murdock didn't exist, but Father Matt did. Like it feels like a One More Day style change that no one else seems to be noticing. Yeah. That only exists within the Daredevil world.
I don't think it was a huge timeline shift. I think it was just he just like disappeared one day and he was Father Matt.
Really? It doesn't make sense.
It wasn't that he was never Daredevil, that Daredevil never existed.
I thought it was that it was never Daredevil. And in this issue, it kind of confirms that. Father Matt had his law degree the whole time. It's just not my favorite.
That's fair. All in all, though, bunch of good comics this week, and I'm glad that I was able to talk about it all with you. You read a couple more than me, and I'm happy for that.
You read more than I did too.
I read more than you?
Well, you read like Sam Wilson. You read
yeah, and then we overlapped on a bunch because we have very similar taste. So maybe I will like Saga.
Oh yeah, you will love Saga. And look, Saga is good. It is objectively good. You know, I mean, when people tell you to watch a classic film, do you generally find that you like it or don't? Like when people were harping on you to watch The Godfather, did you like it?
I never finished it. I never finished The Godfather. I watched half of it. I'm sorry. It's not that it wasn't good. It's just I think I stopped and then I just never got back to it.
But like name another classic film that like everyone told you to watch.
Now I'm trying to.
Don't worry, but it's that. Yeah. It is a technically
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles I saw recently, and I liked it.
It's a technically perfect comic book. It's heartfelt. It has a theme. It has a message. If you don't get what you're looking for out of Saga, that means that what you're looking for is not in Saga. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everything that it does, it is executing well.
Okay. All right. Fair. Thank you so much, Gil, for coming on and talking about everything, especially for the first comic talk of the year. You know, kicking it off strong.
Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year, Gil. Where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Find me on the internet.
Okay.
You know where I'm at.
Okay. Sounds good.
I promise when I have another project, it'll be on all of my socials.
Yeah, because I mean, this is weird because like you always have something to plug.
Well, we took a break towards the end of the year, and like we're gearing back up. I have to get meetings with all my guys.
That's fair. That's fair. Thank you, Gil, so much for coming on. For anyone who wants to follow me personally, Instagram at This Is Dimithri. But if you want to follow the Keeg and all the shows that we do there with Comic Talk every Thursday, or the Keeg Talks or whatnot, you can find us at The Keeg Show. TikTok and Instagram are two biggest ones, but we're all over social media, Blue Sky and Threads and all that. At The Keeg Show / The Keeg Show, pretty much wherever you can find us there. Support your local comic shops. Go to comicshoplocator.com. Find a comic shop near you. Support your local comic shops. Get your comics. And support your local public libraries, because no doubt they got comics there. That's how I used to read my comics when I was a kid. So if you want to get into comics and you don't necessarily need them to be so recent as of this week, then definitely go to your library. Check them out for free. You know, we got a lot of comics there that are worth checking out. Other than that, if you're watching us live right now, it was on Twitch or it was on YouTube. But if you're listening to this and you can't see our lovely faces, then you were obviously listening to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, SoundCloud. We're on all of that. So, you know, do what you need to do with that. Like,
subscribe, share.
Yeah.
Give to the Patreon.
Write a review. A 5-star review of our podcast. That definitely helps as well. That's pretty much it. A lot of comics that we read, a lot of comics that we talked about. Thank you once again, Gil, for coming on. Thank you everybody out there for listening or watching. Once again, I am your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been another episode of Comic Talk for the week of January 2nd, 2025. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.